I still remember the exact moment my phone buzzed that Tuesday afternoon. My mother's voice cracked through the speaker, trembling with tears. She told me they were drowning in bills, about to lose everything. Without hesitation, I transferred $5,000 from my savings. I felt proud, like a good son should. I thought I was saving my parents from disaster. But 2 days later, scrolling through Facebook, I discovered a truth that shattered everything I believed about the people who raised me. Before we dive into this story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If you have ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted, completely hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. You are going to want to stay until the end of this one, because what my parents did next will shock you. Let me take you back to where it all began. I grew up in Tampa, Florida, in a modest 3-bedroom house on a quiet suburban street. My parents, Gary and Linda, always talked about money like it was the enemy. Every dinner conversation seemed to circle back to bills, expenses, and how tight things were. As a kid, I believed them completely. I remember being 12 years old, asking my dad for new basketball shoes because mine had holes in them. He shook his head, said we could not afford it, and told me to make do with what I had. I understood. I never complained. But the following week, I noticed my mom carrying a brand new designer handbag. When I asked about it, she said it was a gift from a friend. I did not question it then. I was just a kid who trusted his parents. By the time I turned 18, I had learned one crucial lesson. If I wanted anything in life, I had to earn it myself. I moved out right after high school graduation, worked 2 part-time jobs while attending community college, and eventually transferred to a state university. I paid my own tuition through scholarships and endless shifts at a warehouse. My parents never offered a single dollar, and honestly, I never expected them to. They had their own struggles, or so I believed. Fast forward 14 years, and I had built a decent life for myself. I work as a software developer at a tech company in Austin, Texas. I married Sarah, a kind and patient woman who teaches 3rd grade at an elementary school. We bought a small house, drove reliable cars, and managed to save up a respectable emergency fund. It took years of discipline, but we did it together. Despite the distance, I always stayed connected to my parents. I called them every Sunday evening, sent birthday cards with checks inside, and flew down to Tampa at least twice a year for holidays. I thought we had a good relationship. They were my parents, after all. No matter how self-sufficient I had become, part of me still craved their approval, still wanted to be the son who made them proud. That Tuesday started like any other workday. I was in the middle of a team meeting when I noticed 3 missed calls from my mom. My stomach tightened. She never called during work hours unless something was wrong. I excused myself and stepped into the hallway to call her back. The moment she answered, I knew something was off. Her voice was barely a whisper at first, then it cracked into full sobs. She could barely get the words out between gasps for air. Your father and I are in serious trouble, Roy. We are going to lose the house. My heart dropped. I pressed the phone harder against my ear, trying to make sense of what she was saying. She explained that my father's pension had been cut significantly due to some administrative change. Her hours at the furniture store had been slashed in half. They were behind on the mortgage, the electric bill, the water bill. Everything was piling up. Then my father got on the line. His voice was low, heavy with what sounded like shame. Son, I never wanted to ask you for anything. You know that. But we have nowhere else to turn. We need $5,000 by the end of this week, or they are going to shut off our power and start foreclosure proceedings. I did not hesitate. Not even for a second. These were my parents, the people who raised me, who kept a roof over my head for 18 years. If they needed help, I would help them. I told them not to worry, that I would take care of it. That night, I sat down with Sarah and explained the situation. She listened carefully, her brow furrowed with concern. We had worked so hard to build our emergency fund, but this was family. This was important. She agreed without argument. The next morning, I logged into my bank account and transferred $5,000 to my mother's account. When I called to confirm the transfer, my mother cried again, but this time they were tears of relief. Oh, Roy, she said, you are the best son anyone could ask for. We are so blessed to have you. Your father and I will never forget this. I hung up feeling warm inside. It felt good to help, to know that I had eased their burden. I went back to work with a lighter heart, grateful that I was in a position to support my family when they needed it most. 2 days later, everything changed. It was Thursday, my lunch break, and I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook while eating a sandwich at my desk. Then I saw it. A photo, posted by my mother just 3 hours earlier. Crystal blue water stretching to the horizon. A colorful cocktail with a tiny umbrella perched on the rim, and a caption that made my blood run cold. Living our best life in Turks and Caicos paradise found. I blinked. Read it again. Clicked on her profile. More photos flooded my screen. My father lounging in a hammock by an infinity pool, a glass of wine in his hand, grinning like he did not have a care in the world. My mother posing in front of a sunset dinner setup on the beach. Check-in tags showing Sandals Resort, Turks and Caicos. My hands started shaking. The sandwich fell from my grip onto my desk. I knew that resort. Sarah and I had looked into it for our anniversary trip last year before deciding it was too expensive. A week there costs anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 minimum. And here were my parents, the same people who had been sobbing about losing their home less than 72 hours ago, sipping cocktails in the Caribbean. I could not focus for the rest of the day. Every time I tried to concentrate on my code, those photos kept flashing in my mind. The cocktails, the sunset, the smiles. I left work early, something I never do, and drove home in a daze. Sarah knew something was wrong the moment I walked through the door. I showed her the photos without saying a word. She scrolled through them slowly, her face shifting from confusion to disbelief to anger. We sat together on the couch for a long time, neither of us knowing what to say. I decided not to call my parents right away. I needed time to process, to figure out what questions to ask, to prepare myself for answers I was not sure I wanted to hear. But even as I tried to calm myself, a darker thought began creeping into my mind. Was this the first time they had done something like this, or had I been blind to a pattern that had been there all along? I waited until the following Sunday to make the call. By then, I knew my parents were back from their trip because my mother had posted photos of their luggage in the Tampa airport. When she answered, her voice was cheerful, completely oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I cut straight to the point. "Mom, I saw the pictures from your vacation. Turks and Caicos looks beautiful." There was a pause, a long one. Then she laughed nervously. "Oh, that? Yes, it was lovely. We booked it months ago, you know. It was non-refundable. We could not cancel without losing all our money." I pressed further. "Mom, you called me crying 4 days ago saying you were about to lose the house. You said you had no money for bills. And now you are at a Caribbean resort." She started talking faster, her words tumbling over each other. "Roy, honey, we used your money for the bills, like we said. The trip was already paid for, completely separate. We just needed a little break after all the stress." My father's voice cut in. He must have been listening on speakerphone. "What is this? An interrogation? We are your parents, Roy. We do not have to explain every penny to you." That sentence hit me like a punch to the gut. I was not asking them to justify every expense. I was asking why they had manipulated me with tears and desperation while they had a luxury vacation already planned. I kept my voice steady, though. It took every ounce of self-control I had. "Dad, if you had money for a resort vacation, why did you need $5,000 from me for bills?" He got louder. "Because we needed help. Is that so hard to understand? Parents ask their children for help sometimes. That is what family does." The call ended shortly after that. My mother tried to smooth things over, but I was done talking. I told them I needed some time to think. She called back 3 times that evening. I did not answer. That night, I called my younger sister, Megan. She is 4 years younger than me, works as a nurse in Dallas, and has always been closer to our parents than I am. I needed to know if she had experienced anything similar. When I told her what happened, she went quiet. Then she let out a long sigh that told me everything I needed to know. "Roy," she said slowly, "this happened to me 3 months ago." My stomach sank. She explained that our parents had called her in a panic about their car breaking down. They said they needed $3,000 for repairs immediately, that Dad needed the car to get to his doctor's appointments, that they would be stranded without it. Megan had just received a bonus at work. She sent the money without question. 2 weeks later, she saw them posting photos from a weekend trip to New Orleans. fine dining, jazz clubs, hotel balconies. When she asked about it, they gave her the same excuse. The trip was already booked, the car was fixed, they deserved a little celebration. But it did not stop there. She told me about another incident from the previous year. Our father had claimed he needed $2,000 for hospital bills after a health scare. Megan was terrified, imagining the worst. She scrambled to send the money. Months later, she discovered that the health scare was just a routine checkup fully covered by insurance. She had given them over $8,000 in 2 years, all of it based on emergencies that either did not exist or were wildly exaggerated. When she finished talking, we both sat in silence for a while. The betrayal felt heavier now that I knew it was not just me.